Why don't we jump right into two iPhone prototypes allegedly passing internal durability tests at Apple. This is pretty freaking exciting. So this is according to Taiwanese website Economic Daily News. And according to them, tests of an Apple-designed folding hinge system for two different iPhones were reportedly recently completed at the Foxconn factory in Shenzhen, China.
Do you think that would mean, if it's two different iPhones, do you think that would mean the high end, low end of their entire next launch?
No, I think that would be two different sizes of probably a completely new, utterly unique SKU.
Interesting. Okay.
And that would be something that even 2 years ago, I probably wouldn't have predicted. But if you look at Apple's trend over the last 3 to 5 years, I mean, do you remember when the iPhone was the iPhone? And Apple's silly branding where they don't call it an iPhone or the iPhone, they just call it iPhone. Do you remember when that actually made sense because there was only one iPhone? Well, that's been dead forever. Like their current lineup, let's pull this up. Let's pull this up, ladies and gentlemen. Apple.apple.com, okay? Wait, yes, it was something I was gonna screen share. Okay, where is it? Maybe it was the shroud thing. Okay, it doesn't matter. The point is, let's pull up apple.com. So under iPhone, you've got iPhone 12 Pro, two different sizes. iPhone 12, two different sizes. iPhone SE, iPhone 11, iPhone XR, and then you've got this compare feature. So you've got a compare feature because there's so many iPhones. You need a feature specifically to figure out, how much iPhone is enough for you. And to be clear, I'm not saying that it's a terrible idea or anything to have, lots of iPhones available for your customers. I'm just saying that wasn't Apple's traditional approach with the iPhone. The idea was that when you bought an iPhone, you were getting this curated, this validated experience. Wait, it was something to do with the Model Y video, I think. It doesn't matter. Fine, I'm over it. So what's happening then is that from whether it's from a developer perspective or a user perspective, the iPhone is changing. Currently, you can get iPhones with all kinds of different sizes, all kinds of different capabilities. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that you could still get, you can still get an iPhone with a Touch ID home button. Like, that is a fundamentally very different experience compared to the current paradigm, which is motion gesture control and using Face ID. So 2-3 years ago, I would have said, no, there's no way that Apple, there's no way they're gonna bring out like a completely separate model of folding iPhone. Now I'm looking at it going, there's no way that they don't. Because Apple, if anything, has shown themselves to be extremely conservative about forcing their users to change unless they've offered a compelling upgrade option. So, for example, the iPhone SE, still kicking around for people who want Touch ID and who want a physical button. iPhone 12 mini is something that they finally brought out to address the need from users for a smaller, one-handable iPhone. And they're very tactical about the way that they do these things. They will wait 3 to 4 years, which they know is a reasonable upgrade cycle for like a non-enthusiast. And then they'll go, okay, have we managed to get these guys to upgrade? No? All right. Okay. All right. Let's do it. Let's continue to support this segment of our customer base. So there's no way that they're just going to bring in a folding iPhone and replace the iPhone Pro. I don't buy it. But then again, I would have also said there's no way they're just going to completely remove Touch ID and say, okay, it has to be Face ID. If you want a high-end, you want a new iPhone, you want a high-end iPhone, that's it. You're done. You're out. So I kind of talked myself out of it. Maybe the iPhone Fold or whatever they end up calling it. They definitely won't call it that because Galaxy Fold, they got to come up with a new name. So maybe the iFold will replace the high end, but I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'm kind of on each side because they don't normally introduce a feature this big without making a sweeping change, but they have also been trending in the direction of more phones and more large feature differences between the phones. So I could see them going in either direction.
This is a great comment from Endangered Tiger over in the YouTube chat. It's totally off topic. I don't know who the hell they're talking to or what it's about. But the comment is a 3DS would be more reliable, which has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But what I liked about the comment is it made me think of the Nintendo DS. So Nintendo is one of those companies like Apple where they will go out and they will have a great product, and or I don't know, maybe like Apple was. They're the kind of company that will go out. They'll have a great product in the market. It's selling awesome. Developers love it. Gamers love it. And they will completely get rid of it and take everything that people loved about it and reinvent it. Sometimes with great success, like with the Wii, and other times with not as much success, like the Virtual Boy. I think is probably, the biggest failure that I can think of in Nintendo's history, where they took something that was working well and just completely broke it, but in like a bad way. And, that made me think, I mean, if Nintendo has the chutzpah to go, hey, that single screen gaming experience, we're gonna flip it on its ear. We're gonna put two screens. Maybe Apple has the stones too. Maybe they do.
I mean, they have the money. Like that's one thing with Nintendo is like every single time they do one of these big crazy YOLO moves, which they do very often.
Yeah.
If it goes really poorly, not only does their management kind of absorb the failure, but they have the money in the bank to have that decision be a problem and be able to continue moving forward.
Apple doesn't seem to play
definitely in the same position.
They don't seem to play that game though. Like Apple doesn't even acknowledge
definitely
mistakes. Yeah. Like that's part of their image.
As do you remember the antenna problems and stuff? Like you're holding the phone wrong. Well, like it's your fault, 100%.
I mean, that was way back with the iPhone 4 though, or 4S, I think. Whatever. Yeah. I mean, it's happened more recently than that. You look at the trash can. The trash can was a rare exception, actually. They did eventually, once they had a product in the pipeline, they did eventually acknowledge that it was terrible. And then more recently, you've got the keyboards on the last couple of generations of MacBook Pros. They have fixed it now. In the last, I think, 2 gens, it's fixed. But they just kept revising the product. They kept shipping them. They just kept shipping them. And they absorbed the cost in like their own way. So they just keep selling it. So they keep having the revenue, but then they just like keep having people bring them back to the Apple store to replace them. Yeah, exactly. Which is like bizarre to me, but that's just kind of like Apple's approach. I don't think they have the humility to release something and not be sure if it's going to be a success and be willing to just bail.
Problems. A bit of a recurring theme with Apple too, knowingly using child labor for 3 years after saying that they were using the highest standards for partnership integrity. So I just wanted to throw that little comment in there. I don't think there's a lot of details really, so I don't think it's its own topic.
It is in the doc actually.
Oh.
Yeah, we can talk about that a little bit more later, but
okay, sounds good. Oh, here it is. Yeah, I didn't see it. My bad.
So with all that in mind, I want to bet. So let's look at the current iPhone lineup. Okay, so we've still got the iPhone 11, the iPhone SE, which is your home button one. We've still got the XR, which is your budget, but like kind of all the modern experience one. We've got iPhone 11. It's pretty typical for them to keep the last gen around for a while. That's not a new thing. And so really in the new lineup, you've got the iPhone 12, which has a more basic camera, all the same internal hardware. They're all lightning fast. So you've got the iPhone 12 in a mini and a normal size, and then you got the Pro in a normal and a gigantic size. How does the folding iPhones probably, how does it fit into that kind of 4-model new launch experience or strategy? Hit me. You have to be firm.
Oh my. I'm still thinking. I'm not committing to this quite yet. I will give you a firm answer, but I'm almost wondering if they do like a new device. I'm almost wondering if they do like a new device type of launch thing, where it's not even an iPhone. It's like
No
an
way.
iPod style device.
I didn't even think of that. Because that's one of Apple's things. You
I
know what?
could see it. Yeah.
That's a really good thought, because one of Apple's things over the last 10 years is you don't with the iPhone, right? Why mess up a good thing? Because iPhone revenue is so much more than just selling iPhones. It's all about collecting that sweet cheddar from app developers and that sweet cheddar from iCloud subscriptions. And what's it called? Apple Plus or whatever their new thing is. It's got like games and TV and workouts and all that crap, not to mention accessories. I mean, Apple is the king of turning the accessory purchases into standalone, like large purchases. You know, with the Apple Watch, AirPods Max, I mean, you could actually spend more on accessories to connect to your iPhone than you spent on the iPhone. It's genius. It's genius. And so,
yeah, and like all of those things would be different for this device. And you actually said it yourself earlier, because if they called it which I don't think they will, but if they called it the iFold,
yeah,
that's a new device. It's not an iPhone.
that's true.
It's not the iPhone Fold. It's an iPold.
So it's somewhere in between, like iPhone and iPad. And it wouldn't even be that weird that the waters are kind of muddied in that way, because the iPad already had cellular connectivity, for example, and has already been capable for years and years, even if it doesn't have a SIM card in it, of calling through FaceTime, FaceTime, through FaceTime. So the idea that this could be just like another device, but see, that's where I run into trouble, because that's also part of Apple's philosophy, is that every device in their lineup exists for a purpose.
To be used with each other. Like it would be very normal to have an iPhone and an iPad and an iMac and
AirPods.
But to have an iPhone and an iFold is weird. Yeah.
Yes. So if you look at Apple's let's look at the whole product lineup here instead of just focusing on the phone. So you've got your iPhone, okay? And so yeah, there's a lot of different iPhones, but you've got your iPhone, you've got your AirPods, you've got what else? You've got
what about
your
iPod though.
iPod.
Having an iPod and an iPhone is a bit weird.
The iPod is a toy. That's why the iPod is separate from everything else in Apple's lineup. It is a relic. It's a holdover. It's for kids. It's for people who don't have a cellular plan yet. It's a cheaper iPhone for people who are not ready to have a phone yet, or whose parents are not ready for them to have a phone yet. That's why the iPod exists. So I think that's fair. Yeah. I don't count the iPod because it exists from so long ago that it almost has nothing to do with Apple's current strategy, and it doesn't have to.
Man, go to the iPod page right now and check out those bezels.
I can't even find the iPod page. Is
go
that
to music?
Music.
Click on music. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah,
then
there
iPod.
You go. iPod Touch. Oh, lordy. Wow, that really is. Like, damn, boy. Damn, boy. You thick, boy. You thick. Yeah, okay, so that's a fair point. Let's go back to here. So everything else, though, you could easily, so everything with its own name, you could easily have a MacBook for when you're out and about, an iMac for at home, a Mac Pro for at work or whatever, and then Mac Mini could be like, the PC for your kids to play on or whatever else. Okay, iPad. Yeah, so they're all iPads here, so you only need one iPad, but that's your couch surfer, That's your second screen when you're doing something else, right? Apple Pencil, okay, keyboards, that goes with that.
No, that's actually not a problem because they all fit within. They're all iPads.
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter that there's a bunch of them. They're all iPads.
That's right. You don't need more than one. You only need one iPad because they all serve the same function. And that's where I think our speculation about the iFold
has some issues.
Falls apart because even though there's an iPad Mini and a gigantic iPad Pro, which is like, the difference in size between these devices. I mean, we're talking the difference between a Kindle and like, I remember the first time I got on a plane and saw someone like reading the news on an iPad Pro. Like they might as well have had a freaking like newspaper in their seat with them. Like it's gigantic. But even though there's such a size difference, functionally, they are basically the same. And that's where the iFold falls into this really weird territory where when it's folded out, it is functionally an iPad. And when it's folded down, it is functionally an iPhone. And so it almost steps on both.
Right.
So it's said to be a dual screen model, which is likely the same dual display prototype rumored by John Prosser in June 2020. So it'd be kind of like the Surface Duo, 2 individual screens with a hinge in the middle, but when flat, the display would look seamless. The second prototype to have undergone testing is reportedly a clamshell foldable, much like the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip or Moto Razr. Reports claim that the clamshell model is set to use a flexible Samsung OLED display. Previous reports have also said Apple ordered a large number of Samsung foldable mobile phone display samples for testing purposes earlier in 2020. I love the Z Fold 2 or Galaxy Fold Z2, whatever they call this stupid thing. Why didn't they just call it Fold 2? I think it's Galaxy Z Fold 2.
Back when we actually did WAN shows from the office, we were talking for a while there, a few shows in a row, about how we thought folding phones were going to be the future. We just weren't there yet. And Apple kind of makes things the now very often.
Oh, yeah.
So they could absolutely do it.
When Apple does it, it's mainstream. It's that simple. It's unclear if the two devices to have been tested had different hinge systems. They're purported to be shells with very limited internals rather than like fully working devices. And the main purpose of the testing was to assess the durability of the Apple hinge. And now the testing has concluded. Apple is expected to evaluate which of the 2 foldable models to proceed with, and only one will be carried forwards into development. Okay, so there you go. That answers our question. We could have just read the doc. I actually still enjoy that kind of speculation anyway. It's just kind of fun because the reality of it is, just because Apple has a working folding hinge or whatever doesn't even mean that we will see it next September. It could be the September after. It could be the one after that. What they do well is they wait. So no, Apple's not going to be the first to do an under-display camera, for example. In fact, that already exists. There's a short circuit video of me unboxing an under-display camera phone. But Apple's going to wait till it's good. The one that I unboxed, not great. It's like, it works. It works, and it's like, it's incredible. Like, it's cool. It's cool as heck. But it's not Apple polished. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Apple's filed for a large number of patents, blah, blah, blah. Late 2022 or 2023 at the earliest, predicts UDN.